So, a bit of news. Elon Musk has offered to buy the Honeymoon Period podcast for £54 billion, dollars, whatever it is.
It's a lovely offer. We're thinking about it very hard.
I wouldn't be thinking about it hard, I'll be honest.
I think that'd be lovely, wouldn't it?
Or
perhaps, like, just some free cinema tickets every now and again. I wouldn't mind quite so much.
What would you do with that money? I mean, you could...
I would do a lot with that money, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot with
Are you
it.
thinking what I'm thinking? Water slides and
No, I'm not thinking what you're thinking.
dodgem cars to get around our massive house.
Hey, look, I've just got a sofa where you press a button and a little leg rest thing comes up and it's made my life. So that amount of money, who knows what that would do? It would just blow my mind, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think you could do a lot more good with it than buying Twitter, but there we go. That should date the podcast. So, we're not going to do any TV tonight.
No, that was an executive decision made by you 5 minutes before we turned the recorder on.
We could talk about Moon Knight. It's all right, but I don't feel I've got a lot to add to the conversation on it.
Put it out there. If people want us to talk about Moon Knight, please let us know.
Yeah.
Because we thought about talking about Moon Knight. We've seen 2 episodes now. It's Disney Plus's new thing.
Yeah.
It's Marvel. If you want us to talk about it, please let us know, and we'll come back on and we'll do an episode.
We'll do a special.
I don't think we need to do a special. I think we'll just cover it. All right, don't roll your eyes.
Okay. Right, sorry.
But yeah, we had that. I mean, I had the long-term listeners of the podcast will know my love for a crime documentary. I had the Jimmy Savile documentary to talk about, and then we kind of thought maybe we just don't want to talk about that this evening. But it's just it might
Happy Easter.
Bring the tone down slightly. So
Something to chew on your Easter eggs with.
But the other thing is that we've seen so many films recently that actually we really just, if we did a full show of what we've been watching on telly and what we've been watching at the cinema or on streaming services, we'd be here for about 2 hours. So yeah, let's just do the films we've been watching, and we're gonna cover some quite quickly because they're films that we can talk about in sort of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then there's some we're going to go into a little bit more detail. And then right at the end, we're going to talk about a film that we've been to see separately, of course, in the last 24 hours. And that's, I'm going to get this wrong, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
No,
you
don't need them where
Just
to find them.
Fantastic
Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore.
3. Yeah. So
No 3. There's no 3 on there.
To me, it's 3. It's the third one. Right. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to just heads up for everyone. We're going to go into spoilers right at the end. So we're going to talk about our thoughts on the film right at the end, and then we're going to do a little spoiler section. So it's going to be a bit of a different one this time. I'm not going to be able to get my head around it. I can just tell. I'm going to be stopping you every 5 minutes going, what are we doing now, love?
Yes.
What are we doing now? So yeah, what are we going to start off with? There were a couple of films we said we'd just do sort of 5 minutes on.
We're going to talk about, first of all, you're going to talk about The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to talk about Drive My Car.
Okay.
We're both going to talk about Spencer, which we watched independently.
Yeah.
I've got my thoughts on Morbius.
Oh, you do? I forgot about Morbius.
I've been sat on this for 2 weeks and yeah.
And I've not been to see it yet, which is a shame because I wanted to, but I've just not managed it.
Is it though?
Yeah, I think it is. I think I'd quite like to be able to just take part in the conversation. But anyway, yes. And then we're going to do
Fantastic Beasts.
Dumbledore. So, do you want to do Drive My Car? Do you want me to do Tammy Faye?
We've literally just gone over the order.
Yeah, but I just... Yeah, okay, but the bit we're doing together... Do you want me to do Tammy Faye first?
Yes.
Right,
yes.
Okay. So, The Eyes of Tammy Faye. The only reason I know about this film is because Jessica...
Chastain?
Thank you. Weirdly, I was going to go into, like, Jessica Garlick, who was she someone off X Factor or something like that?
It predates it. She was first series of Pop Idol, I think.
See, that's where my mind's got. This is what
and
I mean.
Eurovision.
Right. Well, anyway, Chastain, that Oscar-nominated and now winning actress, Jessica Chastain. So she, like I've just said, was nominated for Best Actress. She won Best Actress at the Oscars for this film. And I knew she was in it, I knew Andrew Garfield was in it, I knew it was about evangelical preachers, and I love a bit of religion. And I really like that idea of looking behind the scenes at religious organisations, looking behind the scenes at people who, on the surface, purport to be incredibly devout and perhaps aren't necessarily living the lifestyle that they're trying to get everyone else to live. So I love stuff like that. And this is essentially what The Eyes of Tammy Faye is about. It's about two very famous TV preachers. I had never heard of them. This is a real life story.
What's the woman called?
Tammy Faye.
Okay.
Thanks. Anyway, right, moving on. Two preachers from the telly. You know when they come on the telly and they're like, pledge to God.
So the only thing I know this with reference to is the Genesis video for Jesus He Knows Me.
Yeah, totally that. Anyone out there, have a look at that video. It's an amazing video. It's a great song as well, and it is all about like taking apart the people who come on your television and say, you know, don't believe in me, and I can't think of the line, but it's something about believing in Jesus and believe in me. So anyway, it's people who have one face to the world.
Yes.
Take your money and have a completely different lifestyle and belief system and moral system behind the scenes. So yeah, I love stuff like that. We said we'd only do 5 minutes, so I'm going to be really brief. This is a television film.
Really?
It's perfectly serviceable. It's a TV film. I really like the themes in it because, like I say, I like this really unpicking of, you know, people who say one thing and mean another, particularly around religion. Chastain is fine. I don't think she wouldn't be my Oscar pick. Up against people like someone we're going to talk about later on with Spencer, Kristen. It's not Christian, is it? It's Kirsten.
Kirsten Dunst.
No, Stewart.
No. Kristen Stewart.
Yeah,
Kristen
Stewart. Kirsten Dunst.
Kristen Stewart.
Christian Stewart.
Kristen. Kristen.
Anyway, Spencer.
Yeah.
So when she was up for the Oscar for Best Actress as well, opposite Chastain, I would have given it to her rather than Chastain. I think Chastain's probably got it for historical reasons. But anyway, there's lots of prosthetics. It's a very broad performance. It's fine. I like the ideas more than the execution. It's wasted some time. I've been watching it sort of 20 minutes in bed when like you've been doing other bits and pieces, and I've been like just sitting and just watching a bit each night. It's on Disney Plus, which is the only reason I've seen it. I didn't go to the pictures to see it. It just arrived on Disney Plus
I don't
after
think
the
it
Oscars.
was released at the cinemas in the UK.
Right, okay. But yeah, it's fine. It wasted some time. I liked looking at what happened in reality. So I liked the fact that it was a real life story and I was able to go and look at the people, and yeah, it was fine. Nothing to write home about. Yeah.
Okay.
Drive my car.
Drive my car. Do you know anything about this?
Beep, 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 yeah.
Well, I mean, that doesn't really count because I said I'm watching Beep, 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 yeah. And you, like, the Beatles.
Roll my eyes.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah, all I can think of is, baby, you can drive my car. I have no idea what this film is about, but you've been talking about it for days now.
Okay, so this won the Best Foreign Language Oscars and
Best
BAFTA,
Foreign Language Oscar.
And BAFTA and probably Golden Globe.
Okay.
Certainly, it certainly picked up 2 of them 3. It might have picked up all 3.
Okay.
It is the latest film by Ryusuke Hamaguchi. I've not seen any of his other work. I've not heard of him until this film. So I don't know if it's a breakout in the Japanese world. I'm not familiar with his work, but this is about a pretty well-renowned theatre actor and director who is coping with the death of his wife, who dies suddenly whilst there is still quite a few questions open about their relationship. It's very slow. You are spending a lot of time looking at the scenery. You are spending a lot of time watching people act, because the part of the conceit is in the introduction to the film, the first act, you see the husband and wife together. She passes away in the middle of some marital strain, shall we say. It then fast forwards to 2 years later, and he is travelling to Hiroshima to direct a play. There are people in there that we have met as part of her life, part of the play, and as part of the insurance for the play, he is not allowed to drive his car, which is
Oh, that's the whole thing, right?
which
Okay.
is a 1980s, I think, Saab 900. It's a beautiful car. Like, you'll see him about, but probably not so much in Japan. And this is his pride and joy. And so the college that is putting on the performance puts on a young girl to drive him to and forth from his hotel. He learns his lines by putting the tapes on whilst he's being driven. It's a modern day film, but it still uses a cassette player and stuff like that, because it's an old car. This is an absolutely beautiful film. It talks about grief, it talks about relationships and how relationships aren't picture perfect, but people still love each other. My big problem, and I know this is a big problem with me in general, this is 3 hours long.
Oh, really?
And I suspect if you're watching this in the cinema and you are engaged, then the 3 hours will fly by. It uses a lot of Chekhov's work as part of the performances, so it's Waiting for Godot and another Chekhov, which is Uncle something or other. There are some beautiful performance pieces.
Uncle Vanya?
Yes, Uncle Vanya.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know these at all.
Okay.
And I suspect if you are, there is a hell of a lot of subtext in the content that is coming out of this. Like I said, I'm not familiar with them, but the way that they are staged is they're multilingual performances. So there are people speaking Japanese, there are people speaking Cantonese, there are parts that I believe are in English, and there are parts using other forms of communication as well, which is it's really beautifully done on stage. Like, I kind of want to see this play, because the way it's staged, there is multiple different versions of subtitles in the background, projected onto the back of the stage. But yeah, I can see why it's won the foreign language film. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a 4-star film for me, because although it talks about grief and joy and getting over grief and relationships of just people who you meet, it didn't move me to tears, which is odd, because these are sort of things that would probably pluck on my heartstrings. But yeah, it's on Mubi now. If anyone's got Mubi, it's worth, like, Titan is another film that's on there at the minute. If you want a very, very different two films, put them on back to back, and you'll have a lovely time. Let's talk about Spencer.
Spencer, because we've seen that together. Well, we haven't seen it together.
You watched it while I was away, and then you watched it, and then I watched it while you were away.
Yeah.
So this is the story of Diana Spencer.
Well,
Diana.
it's not. Is it though? It's set over a weekend in Sandringham.
Yes.
And it's Christmas.
Yes.
So it's Christmas with the royals. And it's from Diana's point of view. We actually don't see the royals very much in this, which I really liked. You see more of if you're thinking about upstairs, downstairs, the downstairs staff.
Yeah.
And the ancillary staff around her. But essentially it is from her perspective. You're looking at her perspective of her breaking down, of the last days of her marriage. You don't quite get to know the exact date, but you can see we're coming towards the end of the marriage. We're coming towards the end of the fairy tale, and she is feeling trapped. She is unwell mentally and physically, and it's very much that a very intense view of a few days in a place that you don't want to be.
Yeah. Latest film by Pablo Larraín, who previously did Jackie, which is a very similar theory of a very well-known female who had a bit of tragedy in her life and had,
Yeah, and it's that focus, isn't it, on that one woman.
What do you think?
Really, really loved it most of the way through. I really like the. I think we've seen Diana Spencer, Princess of Wales, in whatever capacity you want to sort of call her. We've seen lots of depictions of her now. And there was a time where there wasn't anything, and it was almost like people didn't want to go there. And now everyone's gone there. And I think this is the most interesting of the depictions. I think because of the way that it's formatted, that you're not getting her entire life, although you get flashbacks to things. You get, tasters of her childhood, for example. She's really thinking about her her time as a Spencer, which is why, you know, the where we get the name of the film, going back to her childhood home, all of those ideas, allusions about her father, so lots and lots of like looking at the past. I like that rather than the whole, oh well, here she is getting married, here's the marriage breaking down, here she is, you know, in her untimely death. I really like this idea, and actually I think you could, whilst you've got the royal connection, whilst you've got the money and the privilege and the food, there's so much about food in this film, I think you could strip all of that back and you could place any woman who is feeling trapped and controlled and who is having problems with eating disorder, for example, which Diana very openly spoke about it during her life, and this film does go into that. I really got that sense of being in a place that you don't want to be, and how that is so, the word triggering isn't right, but but also it's pushing your buttons all the time. Like all the time you are on edge because you don't want to be there and you're desperate to get away, and everything that happens is just wrong. You know, people are telling you what to wear, people are telling you what to eat and when to eat, and there's this family, you know, this cast of characters of the family that aren't behaving necessarily in your best interests, because there are rules and there are regulations and there are things that you have to do. I think you could take the Diana out of it and it would still be a very compelling film. It lost me towards the end. I think it just went down some pathways that were interesting from a plot perspective, but then there were some flashes of creativity in there as well, and I think it just sort of lost its way, and I wasn't quite sure what it was trying to say, and particularly with there's a character that Shape of Water, who's the woman from
Sally Hawkins.
Sally Hawkins has a role in this, and towards the end
playing Hillary from Neighbours.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Remember Hillary from Neighbours?
Yeah,
she's got the same hair.
Oh, okay.
Like that's all I could think of during this film was, who does she look like? I think she's also right. So I did this. This isn't a film for me.
Because it's very arty, and you love an arty film. I thought this wouldn't be for me.
I'm just kind of sick of these, like, oh, it might have happened, but it didn't happen, but it could have happened.
I think this is more likely to have happened than many of the other
things. It didn't,
things.
though, did it? It didn't. I mean, it's a fictionalized version of events.
She spoke very openly, and things were written about, you know, the fact that she found going to these events very, very difficult.
I felt like I just wasn't invited to the party.
Okay.
I can see there are things going on with dresses. I don't feel I think if I understood what the significance of these dresses, I would read more into this, a bit like the Chekhov in Drive My Car. I really liked the bits of her interacting with the kids. There's a scene where they're playing games, and it's a lovely little scene. I really liked the portrayal as the Queen. I mean, if you look at the actress, she does not look like the Queen. But she acts almost like a mafia don in the background. Like the look she gives and this quiet dignity whilst judging someone. Sally Hawkins was the star of this for me.
Like, not in it very long.
No, but she seems to be playing Paul Burrell's ego.
Sorry, okay.
That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
The person Paul Burrell wishes he was, I think. Like I said, all I can think of is Hillary from Neighbours with her hair. I actually went and to find out what the character was called, I had to go and watch the full Scott and Charlene wedding episode of Neighbours. She's all over that episode as well, which is kind of a weird thing to go watch back to back. Kristen Stewart, I think, is fine.
Okay.
I think you're on a hiding to nothing playing such a world famous character, and at times it comes off like an impression to me.
Okay. I thought the accent was perfect. I thought the look was perfect. I thought she brought something of her own to it.
I saw nothing different to like the many portrayals I've seen of But look, I mean,
I think she embodied it. I think she really went for it. You just felt that it was something very important to her, and I felt that come out through the performance. But anyway,
it didn't. Yeah, this is a film that I admired rather than enjoyed.
Yeah. I wouldn't watch it again.
I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah.
I think I totally agree. It goes to shit in the third
I think
act.
it's one of the things that it would be really interesting to analyse, and I've probably enjoyed analysing it more than watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I can understand that. Can I get Morbius off my chest?
Oh, yes, you can. Yeah, from Spencer to Morbius. I mean, this is a bit random,
Two
isn't
peas
it?
in a pod. That's a double...
Talking of someone who likes to really embody characters and take a performance. Good old Jared.
We'll come to him.
Okay.
So this is the latest film in the Spunk universe. No, Spunk. Spunk.
Sorry, what?
So you got the MCU.
Right, yes.
And then you have the Spunk, which is the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters.
Oh, God.
That's genuinely what they've called it.
No, I know that, Darren, but I've just...
No, but I mean...
I get a bit sick of this
Who
stuff.
came up with that?
Yeah.
This is, the latest in a long line of Marvel films, Marvel-adjacent films, set in a different universe, starring people who would previously be considered baddies from Spider-Man, that were signed by Sony as part of the deal to get Spider-Man into the MCU.
And I only learnt this Spider-Man connection the other day through listening to the many, many other podcasts that I listened to. I would never have picked that up before.
You want a plot summary? Morbius is a human vampire. Yeah. He's a doctor. He's got a life-threatening disease. He does something to himself. He becomes a human vampire.
If you've ever seen the trailer for Morbius, you will know this. And you will know the rest of the film, I suspect.
So, I'm warmer to this than most. But purely because I learned halfway, not even halfway through, very early on, that this was a film to be laughed at rather than with. It's not boring. It's just if you play this as a comedy, you will have a whale of a time, because no one involved in this film has any faith in it. Jared Leto is actually the least of the problems of this film. This is just a really badly made film, almost to the point of Toxic Avenger and Ed Wood-esque films. Like Dave Chen pointed out, this starts off with a flashback 25 years before, so you see Michael Morbius as a young child along with his friend, who in the film is played by Matt Smith. Jared Harris is their doctor. We then fast forward 25 years. Any better film would at least put some dye on Jared Harris's beard. Nope, just exactly the same person, 25 years later.
Yeah.
There is... this bugged me more than it should do, but there is a plot device whereby someone needs to time 6 hours repeatedly. Now, it kind of annoyed me that they use a stopwatch that goes up in time rather than a timer that goes down, but I think it's more cinematic to go towards the 6 hours rather than down to 0.
Okay.
But there's two ways you can do this. You can CG a little Casio watch to say 6 hours.
Yeah.
Or you can get probably a runner that's on minimum wage to set it going and say, right, I need you to get me at 5 hours 45 so that we can take some film of this. The shot the show in the film, it's 5 hours, it's 5.
Right.
But then it's seconds and milliseconds.
Right.
So that's 5 minutes they just waited. They couldn't be bothered to wait 5 hours for it to go. So that's minutes, mate. That's not hours.
So it's just that real lack of detail and attention and care.
Yeah. I mean, this has been absolutely cut to shit.
Yeah, people have really enjoyed it as well, I think.
The most fun to be had at this is to look at the trailers and just see everything that's changed since the first trailer.
I heard that as well, yeah.
If you watch the trailer, there's a line that's said of, you disappeared for 2 months. No part of the film. Right. This film takes place over a week max. So that's been cut out.
That's a major change then, isn't it?
Yeah. Tyrese Gibson plays one of the cops, along with Al Madrigal, who's an American comedian who I wasn't really aware of. Two of the most mismatched cop buddies you'll ever see in any film. In the trailer, it seems like Tyrese Gibson's got a metal arm. Not in this film.
Wow.
Just stuff happens. There's a point where...
I find that's quite fascinating, actually. That sort of before and after and what might have happened.
I might have missed a plot point about this. Okay. But it's the sort of thing where we can establish that when he is hopped upon blood,
right,
Morbius can dodge bullets and
Yeah,
move
he's
at
like
super speed.
yeah, right, fine.
One point, Tyrese Gibson's pointing a gun to him. Next thing you do, he's arrested. Like, smash cut to him being arrested. Like,
How'd
why?
that happen?
Why? You just avoid the bullets and, like,
Yeah.
run away. This
Okay.
is amazingly bad, but enjoyingly so. I'd rather watch a 1-star film than a 2-star film. And this is a 1-star film. But I just sat there laughing all the way through. I mean, the post-credit sting and MCU are just trying to undo every single thing that the Sony universe is trying to get going. You can see that this was due to be released before No Way Home, and in the trailer there is like things like showing Spider-Man with murderer on the thing. Because it was due to be released that long ago and was delayed so many times.
Yeah.
They had big plans, and there is points in the trailer which I won't spoil just in case anyone watching this, but they've had to be shoved to the post-credit sting. So I kind of knew it was coming because it's in the trailer and it's quite a big thing. But yeah, I hate to reuse it. Like, it's clear that they have reshot this on the back of the success of No Way Home to try and get stuff in there. There are people that have bodged together a post-credit sting almost in, and yeah, I hate to use this again, but the Poochie scene from Simpsons, where it's almost like the animated cell moving along and someone's in the background going, I'm going to leave now, but we can work together. It's a bad film. This is probably the worst film you'll see all year. And I had a whale of a time watching it.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad, rather than you going to see it and being like, oh, this is terrible, and like I didn't get anything out of it. You did come back and you were a little bit bouncy, and I was like, how? Because everyone's ripping this apart. But I think if you go into it with the right spirit, and you like don't care as well as the film.
If me and you had a few drinks and put it on, we'd have a whale of a time just laughing
at it.
Time.
Yeah. Well, I might wait until it comes on streaming, which I'm sure won't be that long.
Yeah.
And I'll watch it on a Friday night.
I mean, this made a fair bit of money its first week, and then absolutely fell apart. Yeah.
Okay then, so final film of the evening will be Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. I still want to keep calling it The Crimes of Grindelwald, but that was the second one.
Yes.
So yeah, we've been to see it. We've actually been to see it pretty close to recording actually, so we've got a lot to say, and we've been singing the Harry Potter theme tune to each other quite a lot. It's the Hedwig's theme, isn't it? We've been singing to each other most of the day, which is, I'm sure, has been delightful for everyone else listening.
I hope there's no one else listening.
I was just thinking, who else would be listening?
Blake,
Blake.
I don't
he's
think
not going to be too bothered, but yeah. Okay, moving on.
If there's anyone in here, please get out.
Okay. Right, so we're going to do our thoughts before you get started. We're going to do our general thoughts on it, and then we'll do spoilers, but we'll do a great big spoilery alarm.
Yeah. So we left at the end of Crimes of Grindelwald, where Grindelwald, at that point played by Johnny Depp, has recruited a bit of an army together.
He's got plenty of followers anyway, but he's taken some of the lead people that we've come to know. Queenie, Credence.
Yeah.
That's as many as I can think
and
of.
other people whose 3 films in I don't know the name of.
Yeah, to be sort of like his leadership team.
Yeah. And that's basically as much as I can go into before the beginning of the plot.
Yeah.
This follows Newt Scamander. It follows Dumbledore.
Yeah, it follows almost directly after.
Yeah.
After the end of that film, doesn't it? Really.
Grindelwald is a wanted man.
Yep.
And thus we begin.
Yeah. Grindelwald now played by Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes. They've got as much of a curse as the Poirot films, haven't they? Because Ezra Miller has now become problematic.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's been very lucky in that all the attention after the Oscars was on Will Smith, whereas
I did think that actually while I was watching the film, like aside from the film, I was when he popped up on screen, and then I thought about the Mads Mikkelsen, I was going to say merging into Johnny Depp, but that would be wrong. But you're taking over from Johnny Depp, and then obviously everything around the production of Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling and all of the discourse around the films and the people involved with those films. I was really thinking about that actually as the film came out, and it really just detracts from. I don't know about you, but like maybe it was because I found that to be more, and I'm going to put it in inverted commas, interesting. Not interesting in like, oh, hooray, slap my thigh, that's such a good thing. But in more of the, oh right, that's pulling my mind over to there than the actual film itself.
Okay. Shall I go first in my thoughts?
Yeah, I think you probably just guessed mine then.
Yeah, I think this is better than the second Fantastic Beasts film. That is damning with faint praise. I've been trying to work out what isn't working about these films, because, I mean, this is on track to do really poorly. I don't think we're going to be getting a fourth and fifth
They said, I was just looking this up, they are absolutely saying they're going to get a fourth and fifth.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I'll put. I would put some money on them not, but
okay.
And I think the cast of characters in this, I think Newt Scamander is fine. I really enjoyed his relationship with Catherine Waterston's character from the first two films, but for reasons that seems like she is. I don't think it's supposed to say she is not very much in this film. The rest of the cast of characters, I just don't give a shit about, and there is clearly, whether it was planned or not, there has been a pivot to characters we know and love, using more of Dumbledore, using more of the character of Hogwarts, and this is very, a lot of time is spent in places we are familiar with in this. I just don't like a lot of the characters, and I just don't care. Like I only watched The Crimes of Grindelwald like a month ago. And a couple of these characters, I was like, I'm not sure if I've seen these people before. Jacob, who is the audience surrogate, played by Dan Fogler. He's a bit annoying. But when you add him with Queenie, I think I've been racking my head, and I'm not sure there is a screen coupling I hate more than these two.
Hate? What?
Yeah.
Why hate? That's odd.
Because they never felt like a couple in the first film, and now I'm 3 hours into this, like, or 3 films into it, like 6 hours into it plus. Okay. They're just really annoying.
I think they are very sort of not. I wouldn't call them annoying, but I think they're particular types of people, and that's why they go together in the film, because she's very sort of like she's got this almost like Marilyn Monroe-esque. She doesn't in the later films, but to begin with, very bubbly, very kooky, very because she can hear people's thoughts, and there's this real squeaky voice to her. No, not so much in this film, and he is like this bumbling. This guy who wants to open the bakery, and they're meant to be just nice people.
Yeah, do you know what Marilyn Monroe never married? A bumbling baker.
Yeah, I know.
She married baseball stars.
Yeah,
she married.
Nice,
I just don't buy it. I've never bought it.
Nice.
This.
I like it.
Right,
I like it,
good.
but I don't like the film. Yeah, you can probably tell from my voice when we started out talking about this. I just don't care. I just don't care, and I just don't know why. I mean, it's fine. The film is fine. The production is great. It's beautiful. I really, really like Jude Law as Dumbledore. I really do. I really like his relationship with Gellert Grindelwald, now played by Mads Mikkelsen. I think the two of those are really compelling when they're on screen together, as you would expect from Jude Law and Mads Mikkelsen. But there's a scene at the beginning of the film where they are talking together, and I thought, oh, this is so compelling that I'm not thinking about all those other things. And then other people came on screen, and I started to think about those other things, and I started thinking, well, why am I not feeling like I'm in the cinema? My screening was very, very quiet, so I don't know whether that helped, but I was always aware of the fact that I was in the pictures and I was watching a film, and I checked my watch loads and loads of times. I didn't care for the plot. I got annoyed about the animals, and that's this merger, isn't it, of like, oh, the Fantastic Beasts, but also we're going to learn about Dumbledore, and we're going to learn about this. And I just don't think it goes together. You said something earlier about, we go back to places that we know and we love, like Hogwarts, and it spends a lot of time there. I don't think it does spend a lot of time there. I think the trailer sets it up that we're going to be back at Hogwarts. I think we're going to, all these places that we know. We go to a pub that's in one of the films later on. We see a character that we see in one of the films later on, and we're in Hogwarts for about 5 minutes. The rest of the time, we're in Berlin, we're in a bakery, we're up in Bhutan. You know, do you know what I mean?
A character we know played by Jeff from Coupling, which I just can't stop thinking, oh god, it's Jeff from Coupling.
I know, it's amazing. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't care, and I don't think the plot made any sense, and I thought the ending was really, really poor.
So going on to the plot, so this is largely a heist movie, and it sets it up early, and none of the plot really makes any sense.
It doesn't matter.
But I think they kind of get away with it because there is a thing going, we need to confuse him because for reasons people can see what they're doing and stuff like that. But it is just like sub-Ocean's 11.
What? If none of that had happened...
Yeah. This thing still would have happened.
Still have happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's Ocean 9 3/4.
I know people have been saying, it's like a heist and a spy and a thriller, and I just didn't get that at all. I didn't get that at all. If I did, I'd be the first one to love it.
We get a cast of characters that I don't care about.
It sets up things like someone pops up at the end. And there's like a couple of people waiting for them, and they're like, there's a throwaway line of what took you so long, and I don't care that they were there.
I don't even know what you're talking about here.
I bet you, and you just kind of go, oh, all right, are we meant to care about this person? Because I know nothing about them. I don't know why they've been doing the things that they're doing, and I don't know why them suddenly turning up at this point has any relevance to the film whatsoever, and it doesn't, because they turn up, they go on their way, and then nothing else happens. We'll talk about it in spoilers. But that's what I mean. It's just so throwaway.
There was a scene at the beginning, which I want to talk to you about it in spoilers, because I don't know if it was a dream sequence, because it made no sense to the rest of the film that someone went and visited someone, and I was like, and then it just moved on to another scene. Like, almost it was put in by mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stuff, people go off and do the little things, and then the thing about, going back to Oceans, the thing at the end is, you're not always sure why they're doing what they're doing, but there's that bit at the end where it all comes together. Never done happen on this. It's used to just have something to do. I mean, my showing, which was on a Thursday night, but Bank Holiday Thursday, so there was maybe like 15, 20 people in there. The people behind me were whispering, and normally I'd just give them like things, but they were bored. I was bored. It's better than the second film, I will stand by that. But yeah, the only two things I actually heard them say was towards the end, this is shit, which, applaud. And she's skinny, isn't she? Which I won't say where, but you can probably work out where.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Like, this is the end. There is absolutely no way they will do a fourth film. That is my guarantee.
Okay, all right. Oh, we'll come back to that in a few years' time, I think.
If they make a fourth film, I will watch whatever Henry VIII-esque Keith Rochelle film you want me to watch.
I mean, it's Keith Michelle, but well done, yeah. Honey, I think I've made you watch all of the Six Wives of Henry VIII films there are out there, which you very, very gainfully have done for me during the past nearly 10 years.
I've not seen Anne of a Thousand Days yet.
Oh, but it's on your list because
yes.
It won lots of things. So yeah we can watch that.
Yeah.
Not one of my favourites, I have to say.
Oh, well, sorry.
Yeah, I know. So, yes. Should we go into spoilers and just cover a couple of things?
If you are aghast at this review and you really enjoy this, good luck to you.
Yeah, and you might want to not stay for spoilers.
I'm glad you're getting what you want.
And there'll be people out there who love this and will love all of the little nods but yeah, just as a whole, I am not convinced that this should. Maybe the first film and that was it. I'm not convinced this should. This is a franchise. I'm going to go over this again. This is a franchise that should not have occurred. The first franchise was right.
It's a franchise to pass the time until Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson and Rupert Grint are old enough to be the film
Cursed Child.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's
absolutely. Yeah. And to keep the money rolling.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Okay. Well,
Spoilers
let's
from here
just.
on in.
So, if you are leaving us here, thank you very much for listening.
Oh, yes, thank you.
We are on the Instagram and Twitter at The Honeymoon Pod, and if you'd like to leave us a review, you can do so on iTunes or Spotify, and we would really appreciate it. Spoilers.
Now spoilers. Can I start with a bit of the bloke that pops up at the end?
Yeah.
And we'll cover that before I forget about it, because we will. We'll forget
Yes.
about it, and then it will make no sense when people listen to that. So it's the guy Youssef, who's the French guy who's got the pure bloodline, and he's spying in Grindelwald, and we're meant to think, is he spying, is he not? And then at the end, Lally and is his name Theseus? Anyway, Newt's brother.
Yeah.
He turns up, he looks like he's going to attack them,
and
then he turns around and gets rid of it.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, you took your time.
Yeah.
Were we waiting for him?
Yeah.
What did he actually do?
Yeah.
Because he just brought those people there.
And then got rid of them.
Then got rid of them, which they could have done quite easily. And then he plays no further part in the rest of the film.
Yeah.
That plot line, to me, was just... They gave him nothing to do. I had no idea. It took me a long time to remember he was in the...
Well, I didn't know.
Grindelwald.
I looked back and had to kind of go, oh, right, yeah, so
I'm not convinced it's the same actor.
It is the same actor.
Is it the same actor? Because I was looking thinking, oh...
And he plays Zoe Kravitz's brother.
Yes. So, yeah, fine, if we've got all that backstory, but he was just, I thought the bit about the memories, been taken away, his sister's memories, I thought that was very poignant, and I did. Yeah. There were some flashes of darkness that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So the bit at the beginning that you were talking about, which was that you thought might be a dream sequence, is that between Gellert and Dumbledore?
No. So Jacob's in his little bakery all sad.
Oh yeah, and Queenie comes
turns
in,
up,
but it's not really her. Yeah, he's making believe.
Right. Okay. So that's because I was getting distracted by the people talking.
Okay.
And there was a light in the corner of my eye that was annoying me. And so then the next thing I knew, we had Mrs. American with a very inconsistent accent.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wonder if she's British, because it did feel like she was really trying to do that American drawl.
Yeah.
And I liked her, though. I really liked her. We're talking about the same woman, aren't we? Professor Hicks.
Yes.
Who's Lally Hicks, who's meant to be from Ilvermorny.
Yeah, I just didn't care.
Okay, but I liked her. I thought she was an interesting presence. I wish she had more to do. I thought, like, the charmy bits and, the bits where she's putting the paper around and all the spells and everything were very good. So I liked her. I'd like to have seen more of her in earlier things. Can we talk about Catherine Waterston, right? Who did not appear in this film.
She's bloody skinny.
That is not her. That's her face on someone else.
I was going to say she was not on the set. It was at any point
the uncanniest valleys of uncanniest valleys. Because when she's walking down the street, her face is you won't see this on podcast, but I'm putting my hand above her face was moving and the head was moving in a different way. Yeah, it just wasn't right at all.
Yeah, she was not. She
was not.
I can only assume it was a COVID related issue or a visa related issue or just she's doing something else.
Probably sick of these films.
But she's the one thing that I actually like about the earlier films. She's the one character who I actually want to.
No, I don't like any. I like Jacob and I like Queenie, which is weird because you don't. Yeah. But I can't stand Newt Scamander. I'm sorry.
It's just Eddie Redmayne playing everything that Eddie Redmayne always plays.
It's too much for me. It's too, it's so affected, that performance, and that head tilt. And I like his brother. I think his brother is, really interesting, and I'd like to know
James
more.
Norton.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to know more about him. But I thought he did very some really interesting line readings. Obviously, Jude Law is your MVP, isn't he? And I really like the fact that they're really explicit in the film about the love between him and Gellert.
In China.
Not in China. I understand that they've cut all of that out. But I really liked that there was that talk of that love and the bond and all of that.
And Mads Mikkelsen is infinitely better at playing this than he feels menacing rather than just Mr. Freeze.
There's huge Trumpian vibes going on, but he's not playing it as a cartoon character. I'm saying Trumpian vibes because I'm saying here's someone who's a popular character. I'm saying that in inverted commas. A popular character who then people say, oh, let him run.
Well,
let him run.
Oh.
And
so I took a very different thing to this. I took that this was because J.K. Rowling did the screenplay for this, I felt this might be a part of her politics coming out about a certain political party leadership of, we'll just put him on the ballot, and then because she's been very outspoken about Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh, I didn't get that at all.
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Right, okay.
Might be completely...
Because obviously completely different ends of the spectrum in terms of your right wing and your left wing.
It doesn't take a big Google. I Googled J.K. Rowling, Jeremy Corbyn as soon as I came out, and it was like, that's definitely in line with her views on it.
Interesting. I went off the other side because I thought, because people said that about Trump, let him, put him on the ballot, he's an idiot, no one will ever vote for him, and then of course we all know what happened there. But that's interesting. But what I've always liked about the stories is that you have that, and it's you see it in lots of different storytelling modes where you bring history into fiction. And I always remember her talking about who the Minister of Magic, who's around when Harry is young and at the school. She's, I think she really went back to the prime ministers around the wars, and she was talking about they're very direct links to politicians of yore. Yeah. So it always feeds in, doesn't it? And there are a number of fascist allusions in these films
absolutely,
in particular.
Absolutely. One thing that I was very relieved about, I really thought at the very end when the deer thing... I don't know what it's called.
I think it's a quillen or a killen or a whatever.
I'm not
killen
even,
might not
I'm
be
not
a good
even
word,
motivated to look it up.
Yeah.
Goes and bows at Dumbledore.
Yeah.
It's like, there's someone else here.
Yeah.
I really thought it was going to go and bow at Jacob after all the thing about...
I thought that.
I was so glad that wasn't the case.
I totally thought that. I thought it was going to go and bow at Jacob to begin with.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the whole Bowie thing.
But
not
David. It just bows at the woman who looks a little bit like J.K. Rowling.
The woman who we know nothing about.
Nope.
Who we know might have nearly been poisoned. Even though she was like looking at the cup, clearly there was something wrong in the cup as well. Like, would you have drank that? It's swirling around.
Yeah.
Don't drink it. So the woman that we're meant to... What about the other bloke? What was wrong with the other bloke?
There was a line earlier on about how... there was
when they were on the train, it was like Lou is... okay.
I didn't even know what they were really talking about at that point.
I didn't.
Because I think there is a lot of... I think a lot of this might play into like wider reading. If you are someone who has read all the Fantastic Beasts books back to back, there may be like allusions in there to other things, but I have no...
And if you're majorly into the Wizarding world, and this is obviously extending the Wizarding world, and it's giving you more information about Aberforth and Credence and the Dumbledores, and that she's going down that route, and then there's another guy who's written it as well. I think his name's Steve Cloves, possibly. But anyway, they are clearly going down that sort of extension of the Dumbledore family tree.
I think they need to stop this now.
Well, it's sad, isn't it? Because I went in wanting to feel a little bit more positive, and it's fine. It's fine. I think it's that thing of I wanted to care more. I want to care more about these films rather than going to see them because I feel like I need to tick them off because I've seen the other ones, and that's how I felt today.
I put them in the same bracket as the Hobbit films in that they make me dislike the original Lord of the Rings films and the original Harry Potter. It makes me think less about that, which it should
totally
never do.
It really does. Yeah, that's such a good comparison because
thank you.
You're welcome. The Hobbit films again, like they were good, weren't they? Like they were produced, and when I talk about good, I mean the people in them were good. The production was great. The direction, all of these things together were good, and yet it just didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
Whereas the original films, anyway, yes. I think we've talked enough about this one.
Yeah. There won't be a fourth.
Okay. All right. I'll keep you to that. I'll keep remembering it.
Well, thanks a lot for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening to the end of the podcast and even into the spoilers.
Please refer back to previous posts about. We get it wrong every time. So,
I know we do. We're not very good at selling the old pod, but yeah, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts.
And please leave us a review.
Yes, if you could leave us a kind review, please. Even though we've just pulled
one of the most beloved franchises apart.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Back soon.
Bye.
Bye.